Hi everybody, classmates and over 66. I wish I could be with you. I'm here to read some poems in honor of good friend and wonderful classmate, Bill Haviland. He was always a seeker, interested in spiritual things. I remember he studied with Reverend Baldwin, lower year, then I was his roommate, and he underlined the Bible many times. Then he went to India and studied with Meher Baba, always very interested in improving himself in a spiritual way. The first poem is Bill Haviland. As youths, we used to travel the narrow path from the ball fields to the junior dorms. Then you let Meher Baba's imaginary God tie your mind to his narrow raft. Had you stayed married, perhaps you'd know that the path to the north is filled with slides. The piles of rocks by the side of the climbing road are cairns filled with thoughts like stones. And we are tested by the many-headed God who questions us, students without books. Our notes are only what we know from those who lead us upward. Lovers, wives, their many hands hold us upright on the same path. Climbers rope together over the crevasse. And the second poem. When I landed in her country like a canoe pulling into the wet green reeds that line the bright shores of a lake like heaven, my arms tired and my oars broken, I gave thanks that I had left the prison that we lived in, the white New England dorms with their rope ladders by the exit windows, though there was never a fire to escape. And when you turned to the bodiless God, you unspooled your loony craft in black celluloid. The unfinished tape flipped on steel reels and stopped. How could I not have known you well enough to save you? On my raft, sure, there would have been a plank for you.
That old barn. It was the old three-tiered New England barn, ground floor for cows on the bottom, with milk machines and conduit pipes attached along the outer walls, and urine troughs in between, parallel like wide trolley tracks. Second floor haylofts on both sides to leave open space and air down the middle, as the summer mix of methane, heat, and dust was all too combustible, if not spontaneously in the stacked hay itself, then in danger of sparks. And the third level loft hung high in the middle on its own over the peak, as did a heavy rope descending from those top rafters, come to replace all that bovine activity that had been there before the three of us arrived. We hung there and swung there, conducted snowball wars between the upper floors, or brought friends to play sardines among the stacks of antique lumber my father couldn't bear to throw away. And one winter day in that capacious space, my older brother, with a sudden swift movement of his gifted throwing arm, released a short length of lath upwards toward a single swooping barn swallow, who met that piece in full flight and crumpled down dead on the floor between my sister and me, stopping our hearts for that final moment that was that small bird's last. Lately I've been asked, why am I building a barn on this small island in the form and period of that original construct from my childhood, now well more than a half century in the mirror? And my answer is, because.
This one's called Termites. Wood's good for building. Who wouldn't agree? It's hard and it lasts and it comes from a tree. You saw it, nail it. When it's complete, the building it's built is most certainly neat. Oh, who would doubt wood is a choice you should make when building a building to last, for Pete's sake? There's hardly a reason wood wouldn't endure. At night, termites giggle and nod and say, sure.
For the rest of my life. It's called How I Made a Name for Myself. It is a dozen seconds since the race has started. I look to my left, then right, and then last. The grass against my face is cool and thick as I retrain my sight and put the peanut up against my nose and push and scramble on my hands and knees to move it inch by inch to try to close the gap between me and the rest. With ease, it seems, they make their way across the green, enclosed by dorms and classroom buildings out front of the commons. We are overseen by seniors, exercising all the clout afforded them to lord it over us on this, the day reserved for new boy hazing. They behave as gods for a day must, and turn a smug and haughty eye while gazing at our struggles. No one tells us what the penalty would be for losing. Though the loser of the backwards race, the butt of much derision, earned a nickname so clever that it marked all his relations for the next 8 years through college. I am not keen to try their inspiration, but I'm losing badly. So, goodbye caution, and I pop the peanut in my mouth, bend up my head and purse, and spit it forward. Scurry up to it, begin again, launch and repeat. Whether legit or not, I finished third. The Lords conferred. I didn't push the peanut all the way, says one, to whom the others could defer. But then another speaks up. Low Prep may not have done it strictly by the book, but he was certainly creative, and we respect that. I'm off the hook. I know my name now in this unknown land.
This is a poem about something that happened our first week in 1962. We all had to go to the old gym and navigate what was called the aerial obstacle course. This poem is called How I Did What I'd Been Sure I Couldn't. Folded as I was over a spar, like slacks over a hanger, I could see the gym floor 30 feet below me clearly, but it was getting difficult to breathe. The spar was digging into my midsection, and as I hung there gasping, I was sure I'd pass out before too long. The problem was to hook my right leg up and over. I tried as often as I could while strength and will permitted, but I lacked the reach. In 14 years, my legs had gotten longer, but not enough, and I was petrified. I'd known I'd be afraid before we started. Once we climbed the stairs up to the track, I saw the rope over 2 inches thick, stretched tight across the room, or hanging from the ceiling. We were told to crawl on them, to swing from them, to shinny up them, knot by knot, to stand on them and swing from rings along the room, to use 2 thinner ropes as guides, to walk a Burma bridge out to the center of the floor, to where a rope was waiting at our feet. From there, a flip with your right foot, a catch before it falls out of your grasp. A pirate's boarding swing I'd seen in Captain Blood, but never in real life, would bring you to the cargo net. So, starting 15 feet above the floor, you'd climb the net up to the spar from which it hung, 10 feet yet higher. Then you put your leg over the spar, reversed your hands, and flipped to the far side for the trip down. We were instructed how to navigate this course by Ray Race Wetmore, swimming coach. He pointed to some marks that marred the floor beyond the cargo net, and with a certain glee announced that one boy had neglected to reverse his hands. And when he flipped over the spar, he lost his grip and fell teeth first onto the polished hardwood floor. As short and weak as I was on that day, as terrified of heights, I saw no way for me to even crawl along the rope to start. And yet, well back in line, I watched boy after boy attack the course and win. The quickest finished just under 2 minutes. Some boys at 14 were like 20. I was more like 12. And then it was my turn. The thought of giving up and going home did not occur to me. We'd all been chosen. We understood. The expectation was that we'd excel. This was a chance, our first. And so, 6 minutes into my first chance, while all the others marveled at my slowness, I found myself hung up, fighting for air. By now I must be verging into purple. And though I saw no way to get my leg over that spar, I looked down and across to where Ray Wetmore stood, a clipboard in his hands, and I could see him looking up with mingled scorn and pity in his face. He had decided about me. So focused was my hatred of him then, I dragged my right leg up onto the spar, then over. This one is about a tea dance that I went to during my lower year. Tea dances were held at girls' schools around the New England area, and we were bussed in to go to this social event. It's called Girls' School Dance, 1963. Bussed for a social opportunity denied us by our all-boys boarding school. Presentable in coats and ties, we streamed uncertainly into the girls' domain. Pre-growth spurt teen thrust into company, I was ashamed of being 5'1" and lied upon the visitors' dance form an inch or 3, and never thought the girls, post-growth spurt in their early flowering, would modestly conceal their height as well. When introduced, my matched-by-numbers date looked down on me with pity and dismay. Required by edict to remain with us at least a dance or two, some girls had ditched us quickly and escaped back to their rooms, so I was standing with the boys abandoned. Across the floor of lurching youth, I saw a quiet one who'd settled in an armchair and sat placidly taking in what passed for proper, healthy teenage social contact. Like me, she seemed to be here to observe. No one went over to her with a mind to strike up a simple conversation, though she was cute and charmingly arrayed. Emboldened by the fact that she was seated and had no way of looking down on me, at least at first, I weaved through the ungainly and repressed and navigated to her. She was surprised to see a boy approach, as though it never happened. But she looked at me a bit uncertainly, then smiled, and we were off into a back and forth that seemed, after a lack of posturing, to disarm us both. As I was warming to her wit and how it felt to talk together, I looked down and saw her brace, and why she wasn't dancing. She'd been made to dress and come to this, but she had no illusions. This display was not for her. Observing was a way to make the best of it. She was clear-eyed and candid, spoke of her condition, how one leg was shorter, and while she got around with difficulty, regular life was fine. Dances were not. We talked at length, eventually at ease, forgot about the heaving teens around us, both surprised, relieved to find each other, becalmed, far from the antics of the crowd. As it grew late, I made a careful offer. This was a dance, and if we wanted to, if she would like to try, it didn't matter after all if we were good or not. We could pick a slow song. I could help. And she said yes, and we got up to dance. Though no one noticed, we were just a couple moving to the music like the rest. leaning on each other in a sway. No one could tell how care and trust allowed us to be equals, for a time, in balance. We knew of no one else. We were alone. Once the lights went up, we said goodbye. Slightly disheveled boys got on the bus, one with a deeper thought than all the others, as we were brought back to the world of males. For 6 months after that, some older boys I didn't know would see me on the paths between the buildings, each one taunting me in passing how he'd heard that I liked cripples, girls in wheelchairs. He could introduce me to a crip he knew, since I preferred them. I pitied each his narrow, withered soul. The world he suffered in would not be mine.